My name is Jack Rayner. I used to be a cop until the job broke me. Too many bodies, too many lies, too much silence. One rainy afternoon, while cleaning out my father's attic, I found an old leather bag, cracked, dusty, and forgotten. Inside it was a diary. But not just any diary. This one belonged to a man the world's nearly forgotten. Detective Voss. They called him a legend in hushed tones, a ghost who walked into impossible crimes and walked out with the truth. He didn't carry a badge. He carried answers. No records, no interviews, no glory, just these stories. Scrawled in his own hand, detailed, obsessive, brutal, beautiful. I've decided to read them to you, case by case, word for word, to honor the man behind the mysteries, and to understand how a mind like his saw the world. They say memories are like ghosts, sometimes faint, sometimes loud, but always lingering. And for Voss, the whispers of the past weren't just memories, they were warnings. Voss spent the days after the second voicemail poring over James Halpern's notebook, reading it again and again. Symbols and locations seemed nonsensical at first, but the more he stared at them, the more they formed a shape. Not a map, but a sequence, like steps in a ritual, or layers in a system built to hide something. Every few pages, one name reappeared, Adrian Vex. At first, it was indecipherable, but he decoded it manually, a repeated phrase. Late one night, while listening to the final seconds of the reel from the boathouse on repeat, Voss noticed something strange. Beneath the silence at the end of the tape, he heard the faintest sound, almost like static but too rhythmic. He ran it through an old frequency isolator. What emerged was shocking. Morse code, over and over, Nora Lenz. The name sounded familiar, like a memory just out of reach. He searched everything he could find, articles, books, databases. It took a while, but he eventually found her in a faded 1981 science journal. Dr. Nora Lenz, an expert in neuroacoustic stimulation. Her work focused on memory recall through sound frequencies. She had once been associated with a private institute in Pennsylvania, Chapel Ridge Institute, shut down after a mysterious fire in 1985. All records were reportedly lost. Curiosity turned into obsession. Voss drove to the site of the old institute. The road curved into fog-thick hills and abandoned farms. When he arrived, all that remained of Chapel Ridge was a burned-out shell. Trees had grown through concrete, vines snaked through windows. But Voss knew to look deeper. And in the basement, hidden in a rusted storage locker, protected by a half-melted fireproof container, he found it. Another reel. The label read, Lens Test 14B, Involuntary Recall. Back in his apartment, he played it through the same machine that decoded the Halpern tape. A woman's voice, calm and clinical, spoke. Subject responds to frequency shift with spontaneous recall. Memory not his. Name identified, Adrian Vex. Subject does not recognize the name consciously, still reacts. Tachycardia observed. End test. This meant the memory of Adrian Vex was implanted or triggered in people who had no connection to him. Lenz hadn't just studied memory. She tested what happened when it was replaced. But the most chilling part came next. The last seconds of the tape, those faint whispers again, they weren't words this time, they were humming. A lullaby, broken and slow, the kind Voss hadn't heard since childhood. He paused the tape, played it again, slowed it down. Beneath the lullaby, a new code appeared. This time, it wasn't Morse. It was frequency data, coordinates, a location, West Virginia, near a town called Ash Hollow, population 38. Voss packed a bag, loaded his recorder and old field journal, and drove. Ash Hollow was the kind of place people forgot. Rusted mailboxes, fog that never lifted. As he drove into town, he noticed strange things. No cell signal, no sound. Even the birds didn't sing. He found Vera Lenz living alone by the edge of a mountain lake. Her cabin was old but clean, surrounded by wind chimes that didn't move. When she answered the door, she looked right into his eyes, as if she'd been expecting him. "You've heard them, haven't you?" she asked. The echoes, the voices under the silence. My mother said once it started, it would never stop. Voss didn't speak at first. He was too stunned. Vera Lenz, Dr. Lenz's daughter, was real, alive, and apparently aware of the project. She let him in and served tea. Her cabin was lined with books, old sound equipment, and dozens of journals. She told Voss the truth, or what she believed it to be. Adrian Vex was not the first, she said, and he wasn't the last. My mother's experiments tried to force memory from one mind into another, but the memories came alive. They didn't stay memories, they grew. Voss asked if her mother was still alive. Vera shook her head. She disappeared after the fire. But before she left, she gave me this. She handed Voss a heavy iron key. It belonged to a storage shed behind the cabin. Inside, Voss found boxes of tapes, dozens, labeled Subjects 1 through 33. Each one had notes: memory rejection, phase failed, instability, and one, just one, was labeled Subject 33. Voss? He stood there, staring at his own name. How was it possible? He played it. A voice, his voice, but younger, spoke through crackling static. Why are you asking me this? I don't remember any, Mara. I didn't grow up in Kansas. This isn't my voice. Then another voice, Dr. Lenz's. Subject 33 showing instability, pattern failing, recommend extraction. Voss's hands trembled. Was he a subject of the project all along? Had his identity been rewritten? That night he walked to the lake. Fog crawled across the water like a living thing. He stared into his reflection and watched it flicker. For a second his face wasn't his own. Not Halpern, not Vex, someone else. He staggered back. Behind him, wind chimes moved for the first time. Voss followed a voice. He found a frequency, but what he didn't expect was to become part of the signal. The story didn't begin with Adrian Vex. It began long before that, and now it was waking up again.